Welcome to the talk show Promising Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement. Today we'll discuss on the issues socio-economic cost of currency devaluation in Bangladesh perspective. And to suit the very purposes, we have invited two distinguished guests. One is Mr. Mamun Rashid, leading analyst and banker. How are you?
Thank you.
Other being Professor Dr. Helal Uddin. He is a professor of economics, University of Dhaka. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Okay, thank you.
How about you?
Well, Mr. Mamun Rashid, you know very well that Bangladesh from time to time take measures for devaluation of currencies. How do you explain the whole thing from your standpoints?
I'm very happy to be here, and more specifically with the presence of Professor Helal Uddin. He has been also focusing on trade, cross-border trade, and befitting currency price to facilitate cross-border trade. So he will also have a story to share or opinion to share, I am sure. But having spent so many years of my professional life in the treasury environment there in London, Mumbai, Delhi, Dubai, Singapore and Dhaka, of course. So there is a general kind of resolution that yes, currency is basically used for predominantly trade settlement or cross-border payment settlement. Though over the years, if someone is following London money market or New York money market, here in Asia, Hong Kong money market, they would see that yes, currency itself has become a trading commodity. So it is not only for settlement of trade, for settlement of kind of cross-border payment, it is also for currency trading itself. But having said so, central banks classically across the world, they have been managing this exchange rate for facilitating cross-border payment, as well as nowadays emerging need of cross-border trade settlement, that yes, more circulation of local currency in the market, and more, to be more precise, that more local currency chasing less of foreign currency, it will always push like the commodity market, push the foreign currency price up. But having said so, we have also seen the developed countries named as G7 countries, they come into the market if the other currencies are trading currencies time to time to prop up support for their own currency. We have seen while Japanese yen was falling against US dollar, or pre-euro era French franc was falling against US dollar, or Australian dollar while it was declared as a trading currency in the international money market. So in order to prop up support for Australian dollar, G7 central banks also come together to intervene the market. But to facilitate more academic discussion from Professor Helal Uddin, I would conclude here that yes, more central banks, one of the role is through the monetary policy or treasury bond and treasury bill market management or money market management, also to ensure stability of the currency rate or exchange rate, so that we can manage our overall cross-border payment, be it for payment settlement, be it for remittance settlement, in and out, and more predominantly for trade settlement at a rate. But usually there was a classical view from the whoever had championed this, World Bank or IMF, most possibly IMF, that yes, in order to maintain the competitiveness of your export, you at frequent interval, if you are in the participating nation in the trade basket of the global trade basket, that you usually try to readjust your currency, local currency value as per the global currency or traded currency basket, and mostly for the emerging trading nation like Bangladesh or any other developing country's currency, usually these are being adjusted downward so that you boost up your export, and vis-a-vis against that boosting up of export, you also create local employment. I will stop here for the time being.
Thank you very much. Well, Professor Helal Uddin, you heard what Mamun Rashid said, and how do you explain from your standpoint?
I mean, thank you. First thing is like the way we define devaluation, he has explained nicely. So it's kind of like against $1 you are getting more money, that's all. That is, you are making your import expensive, okay? So people will import less, and also like you are making export attractive. So now the question is, when you say devalue, that means what? We are not operating in market. If there is a floating exchange rate, market is determining the rate. If this is so, then there is no question of devaluation or evaluation, okay? But when you fixed your exchange rate below the market exchange rate for certain purpose, then at one point you may realize that, okay, I'm not making import expensive, and it may cost you, because then people may be maybe induced to import more, and those who are bringing dollar from outside, they may feel discouraged, and that's why you have to make adjustment to go, not to the straight to the market exchange rate, but close to market exchange rate. Now, if there is no, fixing of exchange rate, then there is no question of, devaluation. So what happened in Bangladesh, like we have pegged it like close to 82, 83 taka for a couple of years. So it would have been like, say, long before it would have been like 100 taka per dollar. But when you are saying no, it is 82 or 83 taka, that means when I am bringing $1, you are giving me 100 taka, and then you are saying, okay, give 17 taka to me, even though it's not taxed. But actually, when you are fixing it at 82 or 83, and market should drive it to 100, eventually you are taxing me by that 17 taka. The same thing. And when I'm trying to import, I'm supposed to pay 100 taka for $1. And you are saying, no, you just pay me 83, and I am paying you as a government, I'm paying you 17 taka. So you are subsidizing import. In a span of 5-6 years, if you have generalized subsidy to import and generalized tax to inflow of dollar, then you are bringing distortion. So what I'm saying, like, that devaluation is not a policy tool. If we use it like indiscriminately as policy tool, it will come up with the distortions that what now we see. And therefore the question is, like, we have pursued one fixed exchange rate, and now Bangladesh Bank is saying we'll let it flow, free flow, but they're not doing it. When they're saying crawling peg, that means still they are fixing it. And I know that they have some, they cannot let it flow. Why? Because as I said, $25 billion is private sector borrowing. The corporate body can say, well, I borrowed it, when I borrowed, you gave me 82 taka for per dollar. Now if you let it flow, and then if the market rate is 120, then I have to pay 50% more just because of exchange rate devaluation. So it's a huge cost for them. Even for the government, when government borrowed, they converted those dollars for 82, 83. Now when they are going to pay, then they have to tax highly because it will be costly. 50% more they have to gather in terms of money. And then they will convert to pay. That's why I'm saying, like, when you are kind of like intervening, you should have clear vision why you are not letting the market work. If you have super capacity, then you can improve on. We know that during the Asian financial crisis. At that time, Malaysia did it very smartly, right? But they also took other measures, but those measures didn't work. And that's the measure they have used appropriately. So my question is like, now the question you will ask like about the impact on the marginalized people. Well, obviously, there will be huge import because of the world dynamics, because of some shocks like COVID and also like the Russian-Ukraine war. There are instability in world prices, and on top of that, we are expecting at least 50% like appreciation of dollar or depreciation, and that will like bring hammer on the marginalized people. Had we adjusted them year by year, 5-10%, that would have been easier, and that would have made like less distortion in different component of the economy.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mamun Rashid, what is your understanding?
No, I agree with him, and we have been discussing this thing for pretty long time. You see, for more than 10 years, Dhaka was almost fixed pegged against dollar. So we failed to give adequate encouragement, incentive to our two pillars of foreign currency earning. One is of course predominantly export, and if you talk of the net of export and import, then it becomes number one, top priority becomes the inward remittance. So inward remittance, because the gap between import and export is not as high as our net inward remittance. So we have discouraged, and in that Professor Helal has more articulately mentioned that yes, disincentive or incentive. So whom we are incentivizing and whom we are disincentivizing. And I do agree and as well as little bit disagree with him that yes, in the name of say common people, protecting common people, insulating common people from the market torture or the torture of the market economy, we have tried to cap our import at a level, and by incentivizing the importers or compensating the importers. But did it help our people at the bottom of the pyramid? No. That is why now we are seeing whichever country, including Sri Lanka, India, Indonesia, Philippines, Egypt and some of the African countries, whoever has courageously allowed the currency, local currency to take a position vis-a-vis against the dollar market rate, or what we say in economics language or simple language of economics, that let whatever people are ready to pay for an unit of greenback, which is dollar, that is the market rate. So let market take its own position. I do fully agree with Professor Helal that in the countries like Bangladesh, people or the regulators or the politicians are little afraid if they let loose the dollar rate to take a position vis-a-vis against local currency as per the market ability to pay, because of the imperfection inherent in the marketplace or imperfect market situation beneath the carpet. So some beneficiary group, some vested interest group might take the market to their benefit. So but again, history of monetary economics tells us that yes, at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, let market decide what should be the price of a foreign currency unit vis-a-vis against local currency. And second, you see, we have been citing the example of Ukraine-Russia war, COVID thing, but you see now international commodity prices going down, but why it is going up? In the classical and more importantly new classical way of economic discussion and discourse, it is being always said that yes, no monetary policy is effective unless it is converging well with the fiscal policy. Professor Helal would say it, I know for sure more articulately. And now, because of the imperfect market situation, lack of minimum possible governance in the market, minimum possible positive command on the market flows and market transaction, economists, especially the new classical economists, monetary economists, policy economists, they are also talking of better market management, along with fiscal policy converging well into monetary policy, or monetary policy moving on hand in hand with fiscal policy.
Okay, thank you very much.
Also,
we'll come to you again.
Market management.
Yes, thank you very much. We will go for a short break. Viewers, we are going for a short break and come to you very soon. Well, we are back to the talk show Promising Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement. We are having talks with Mr. Mamun Rashid and Professor Dr. Helal Uddin. Well, Mr. Mamun, you are talking very serious discussions. We are discussing very seriously about the monetary policy. And you know very well Bangladesh Bank from time to time, they declare the monetary policy, either constructionist policy or expansionist policy. How do you evaluate this in the context of present Bangladesh?
I will be very brief because I have spoken so much in the last phase. So, if in an emerging economy or evolving economy or developing economy like Bangladesh, so ultimate destination model for any monetary policy, or as such any policy statement or policy implication is going to be, say, protecting the common masses from the torture of the market economy. And how do we do it? Through monetary policy, through price level management, through market management, and of course insulating common people, either protecting them from the price spiral, unnecessary or unexplainable price spiral, or improving their purchasing power. So, when the entire economic policy regime is biased towards protecting, championing, encouraging, pushing up the oligarchs or a specific school of society or the business community, then obviously without even talking too much sense of political economy, one may conclude that this is not going to help the toiling masses or common people or the people on the ground or on the farming lands. So thereby there comes the question of importance of proper internal governance, proper political governance, and also protecting the interest of the majority masses for ultimate public good. And in the past, I will conclude here, in the past we have seen not only increasing number of business people and as such oligarchs making their entry into the most important parliament of the common people in the form of elected members of the parliament, they have also significantly influenced the terms of trade in favor of them and forcing the political government at times and many times significantly forgetting about the ultimate interest of the common people.
Thank you very much. Professor Helal Uddin.
Sure. Well, a couple of questions like as Dr. Mamun Rashid, Mr. Mamun Rashid raised. One is one word he has used, like torture of market economy. I want to elaborate what he meant by that. If you say classical economics, so supply creates its own demand. So if there is a supply, there will be obviously demand. And 1930s, there was a failure. There was supply, but there is short of demand. And then Lord Keynes Keynesian economics, and he said, well, government has to play a role. When there is supply and there is no demand, so government has to intervene and has to create employment. Okay. So at that time it worked. So Keynesian economics, it started rolling, and then in early 70s, oil shock, but Emperor Faisal at that time. So again, the supply shock and the neoclassical came back. But the question is like, classical economics is like, we don't need any government, Adam Smith. And then neoclassical, no, government should have some limited role. Like we are producing like medicine. So should we not regulate medicine producers, pharmaceutical owners? They produce anything and sell it to us and we buy, consume and die? No. So if in case of certain market failures, government has to play a role, okay? So public goods, right? Government has to come, all those things. And then Keynesian is like government has to play a role in if you say 2007-8, there was a global meltdown and then a bailout program in USA, and then Keynes come back, Lord Keynes, and said, yes, government has to play some role. The question is, the government, what is mentioned by Keynes is a social planner. That government doesn't have their own interests. But our government in any country, they are made of flesh and they have emotions, they have own agenda. If we have too much discussion for them, then what happens? They will abuse them. As you said, if there is market economy is like free and fair market economy, then maybe oligarchs will control them. But the question is, if you want to control the market, who will control? The oligarchs. So it's not that if you let it to the market. So you have to make the market environment working. If there is no fair play in the market, then as a government you should set the ground for market. If there is a foul play, you have a competition commission in Bangladesh. There are antitrust bodies in different countries in USA. If somebody is becoming powerful, then you have to utilize your regulatory measures. If you don't do it, even in Bangladesh, you see only 4 or 5 groups, conglomerates are doing essentials, like City Group, Magna Group, TK Group, all those. Now, from the economic point of view, for the efficient operation, you have to have 4 or 5, because our demand is 18 lakh metric ton of edible oil per year. You need only maximum 5 refinery. The frontier refinery size is 1,000 metric ton per day they can handle. That's the frontier one. So you cannot have 20 of them and then everybody operate like at 20% capacity and then cost goes up. If cost is very high, then you can say, okay, I set cost close to price. Then what does it matter? The cost is high. Now price will be higher. Now in economics, you have to reduce your cost. For that reason, you have to use the efficiency criteria. Efficiency asks for 4 or 5 of them in sugar import, in edible oil import. Now your tariff commission is sitting there. There is a capacity, and those 4 or 5 groups, they have to come up to them, and they need to justify any kind of change in their prices. If you have a good capacity in your arsenals as like regulatory tool, you may work well. Now in the ideal situation in like capitalist countries, developed countries, they are based on markets and market is working smoothly. Why we can? Now the question is, market can torture if market is tortured by government and also oligarchs. And that's why I cannot agree with on that point without qualification. Another thing is like what we do, like in the long run, always we come to fundamental. Look at the capital market, look at the housing market, you will always come to fundamental in the long run. But in the short run, there will be fluctuations. You will deviate from fundamentals. Now, if you look at Japan, as I remember, in 1972, it was $1 equal to 368 Japanese yen. And the reserve of foreign currency reserve was roughly 3% of Japanese GDP. Currently, it is like around like 27% of their GDP. And then the rate is $1 equal to 160, roughly like that. How that happened? Because they have increased their capability, they are more efficient, everybody wants to utilize their commodities, and that's why they are selling more and they are buying less. Japanese are saying, same quality, why should I buy from USA at a higher price? And they are consuming mostly their own, and then they are importing less. And people are importing more from Japan. And that's why every year their reserve is going up. And because of efficiency, you see, as I said, 27% of their GDP is reserve. Now in Bangladesh, if we want to improve on our trade balance, we have to increase efficiency. These are long-term measures. We have to increase our skills of our labor, okay, and also like other infrastructure. That's where we can improve on. Otherwise, fine-tuning like exchange rate, markets, you cannot go far. And like exporting like our unskilled laborers to Middle East, we have reached a certain level. Now, based on that, we cannot go to a higher level, state of income level country, right? So that's why I'm saying like market is the proven tool. We need to find out what is the problem of market in Bangladesh. We have a competition commission. There are retired bureaucrats there. For competition commission, you need experts. Like those have worked on competition for 40, 50 years. Those people can come and then find out what are the problems with competition. If there is any foul play in a market. But every year, from my birth, I know that there is syndicate, I'm hearing. And then if there is a syndicate, why can't we work out? Why can't we bring them for punishment? And I personally believe there is no syndicate. It's a speculation. It's a speculation. And in a market economy, like storage, in a market economy, storage is it's a healthy competitive practice. Like 2 crore ton of rice we produce during our Iriboro. Only 30 lakh ton we consume, and government can store maximum 22 lakh. 1.5 crore ton of rice is stored by our private millers. Otherwise, there will be a huge distortion. So they are buying when low prices during like season, and then they are selling when prices are very high during like lean season. Now, if they play any foul play, like say they are saying during buying, well, we are big five, we will not buy, hold for 5-10 days, let it fall more. That's a crime. You should figure out and then punish them. During lean season, if they say, okay, it's too high, but still we'll wait for selling, let it rise by 10-15% more. This is a collusive act. This is a crime, economic crime. We should punish them. But without finding out that kind of collusive act, sometimes it could be individually they know that India, banned onion. If this is so, in next 2 weeks there will be a hike of onion prices. They can try to sell less today. So that's a market behavior. So we need to understand market properly so that the measures we are taking, it is market based. And sometimes if it is not, then you are not solving, you are distorting the market. And the last one example I am giving you here, like say 1 kg of onion is like costed 30 taka yesterday. Today there is a shortfall of supply and it come up to 50 taka. If I allow this 50 taka, then in next 1 week there will be like huge supply of onion from somewhere. And then people consume less because from 30 taka it went up to 50 taka.
Thank you very much. I will come to you again.
But if you don't allow that to happen, then what happens? You are fixing the price at lower level, you are forcing the demand at higher level, and you are not allowing increased supply in the market to solve the market.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, viewers, we're going for a short break and come to you again. Please keep watching. Well, we are back to the talk show Promising Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement, and we were having talks with 2 giants in this field, and they are Mr. Mamun Rashid, the leading analyst and banker, and other being Professor Dr. Helal, Uddin, Department of Economics of Dhaka University. Well, Mr. Mamun Rashid, what Professor Helal Uddin says, that the main point is free economy without proper regulations, the crux of the problem. And what is happening in Bangladesh? It is syndicates. And former Commerce Minister, he expressed his helplessness. And now the new Commerce Minister stepped into his shoes. And what are your predictions about the coming days?
No, thank you very much. So I do agree with Professor Helal Uddin that yes, on 3 premises. One is the Keynesian economics, if I am not wrong or mistaken, it talks about role of state. State has a role to perform during any challenging time. or any transition time of the market. Number two, I also do agree with him that there is nothing called syndication. It is making best use of the market turbulence. So, who would make best use of the market turbulence? Usually, we say some of them, some smart players, some say some cunning players, some would say some very intelligent players who has got command on the supply chain or the global logistics or global supply chain. And I also agree with him that yes, there should be only few prominent players so that there is space to make money, and making money or profitability is a motivational factor for any entrepreneur across the world. So I don't mind say sugar market or raw sugar market or edible oil market or crude edible oil market or even rice market being controlled by 4 or 5 say big business houses or conglomerates. But having said so, managing the market so that any kind of unscrupulous activities cannot happen in the market, that is the responsibility of the government. How do they do it? In the past years, someone like TCB, Central Bureau of Trading, State Trading Corporation, in our part of the world especially, they used to control it, say parallelly. But now, as he has mentioned, say only edible oil usage by 170 or who knows whether it is 170 or 200 million people in this country, say 1.8 million tons. So 1.8 million tons, if you want to do justice to the investors, they have heavily invested in this trade. Say each one of them, they can produce 300,000 tons of edible oil per year. So 5 is enough or 6 is enough. So let them do. But whether they do not abide by any command, that is the job of the market regulator, market watchdog agency, and also I do not want to use the word called price fixing, but price management agency like Bangladesh Tariff Commission, Consumer Association of Bangladesh from the private sector, or now Competition Commission, which has been formed as per the advice of the development agencies like IMF and World Bank. So you have to keep an eye on the price level also, whether price discovery is very competitive, and that is the job of the Tariff Commission, Competition Commission. It is not only forcing that private producers to sell at a price, but you have to keep your eyes open what is happening in the neighboring countries and what is happening with regard to cross-border smuggling also.
Thank you very much. Professor Dr. Helal.
Well, there are many points raised by Dr. Rashid, and in economics and most of the stuffs we agree, we cannot disagree, definitely. And if there is a high differential across border prices, there will be cross-border smuggling. It's a fact.
Natural,
all over the world.
Very natural.
Even if you look at the medication, you will see people will go to Canada and buy medication, crossing border. So the thing is, like, there is market. We need to let the market play their role. But sometimes we see that the ideal role of market is not being played. We don't see it. And then if you don't understand appropriately and properly, then what happens, like, in the name of intervention, in the name of like correction, we make things worse. Like in Bangladesh, there are huge complaints about, like, say, price hike and role of business people in price hike. And I always say price of like essentials in Bangladesh or all prices. If you look at 71, from 71 till now, it is like 70 to 80 times everything, times, because of government policies. Because we are pursuing economic growth. For economic growth, government never says that we'll bring inflation down to 0. What government says, it will bring it down to 6%, 5%. Why don't say close to 0? Because for economic growth, if you want to have output growth, you have to employ more inputs. Demand for more inputs means rise in their prices. then this will increase cost of the products, and consequently there will be rise in the price of the products. So that's the academic sequence, and that's fact. So if you look at the inflation rate, if there is a 7% inflation per year from 71, our price will be 32 times of what it was in 71. I'm sure that on average it is not 7%, it's close to 7%, close to 10%. If 10%, it should be 121 times the overall price level. In Bangladesh, the problem is not price fluctuation, the problem is price level. It is so high that the middle class and lower middle class and marginalized people, they cannot afford their bare bones with this, the prices. And on top of that, if there is a fluctuation in prices, then they cannot bear it. The problem is price level, not price variations. Now, in price variations, traders, they have rule. If there is a surplus, obviously price will go down. If there is a deficit, price will go up. And in the market economy, when there is a deficit of a product in the market, there's we call opportunity. Traders will realize that opportunity to make more profit. That's the message of market. That's how market works. Now people will say, well, there is no increase in production cost, there is no increase in import cost, and we have supply. Why they are increasing prices? They are syndicators. They are making syndicators. No, because that's how market works. So if we stabilize our supply, supply chain, then what happens? They will not be able to exploit it. That's one thing. Second thing is like, one word is like middleman. It's a very negative word. My question is like, farmers in Sunamganj, they're producing paddy. And sitting in Gulshan, I am eating rice. I'm buying rice and cooking and eating. So in between, there are many transformations. One is from producing paddy is one thing. In land, with seed, fertilizer and labor, producing paddy is one transformation. And then converting paddy into rice is another transformation requiring resources. It's like labor, and then also like milling and all those things. And then once we have rice, transporting those rice from Sunamganj to like Badamtoli is another role. We call special transformation. And we are producing rice in Boishak and we are consuming in Chaitra Mas. So there is another transformation. For each of the transformation, people are employing their resources. There are costs involved. So we shouldn't like explain like middlemen means they are doing nothing and they're taking away values. No. And that's how, if you have that kind of like dogma in your head, then you are not letting the supply chain working. And this same onion supply is working in workplace in Bangladesh for like say last 50 years. How many times we have seen like onion prices is like 10 times high? How many times? One episode I observed, like from 30 taka it went up to 250. But in the last 20 years, you will see almost every time we see prices like 10 taka up, from 40 taka is 50 taka, and then it come down because there is a supply flow. So it doesn't go up. In Ramadan, every Ramadan you will see like a little bit of hike. In 2 weeks you will see that prices are going down. That's why I'm saying like you have to have confidence in the players in the supply chain. Well, if there are some entry blocks, some strategic behavior of the big players to kind of like destroy market, competition, to kind of like generate market power, so that they can generate higher margin, we should be alert and we should use our organs properly. But I see like the way they are using organs, like say Consumer Protection Directorate, they are going after like what are the prices, why are you storing all those things with very little information. The question is like there are certain rules for certain agencies. All the agencies certain time they're in the market, and 11 months you will see nobody in the market. So you have to have like expert following the market all over the year, and then also searching world market. Like whenever there is a price drop in world market, encourage the local players, big players to import at that time, and don't play with our policies. If you say, okay, rice prices is high and I will drop VAT, I will adopt tax, then that is a problem, serious problem.
Thank you very much.
Because people are importing with VAT and tax. If you suddenly drop them, then what happens? People will not
Thank you.
feel encouraged.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, Mr. Mamun Rashid, you have 1 minute on this. Last conclusion.
No, I fully endorse that yes, we should let market operate in its own way. At the same time, encourage good competitive entrepreneurs to come up the curve, and whoever can face the global supply chain and make best use of the global market transactions. And last but not the least, we are not mentally and ethically ready and should not be ready to accept any kind of nexus between our political masters and the errant traders. Good traders, they are the asset of the country, but errant traders who only tries to fish around the troubled water, and their nexus with the bad politicians can ruin the interest, ultimate interest of the majority masses.
Thank you very much. Well, viewers, we are about to end this talk show, and before ending this talk show, I have to summarize what the two guests by this time expressed. And it is very much clear from the very mouth of their expression that Bangladesh, being one of the developing countries and rising countries economically, is facing so many problems because of lack of acute policies, measures, and regulations. Everything we have, but what we are lacking tremendously, right man not at the right place. Whether the banking sector, whether the commercial sector, whether the corporate sector, everywhere there is a dearth of experts. And because mainly responsible all the political parties and political leaders and the government in particular, but they're not taking care of the right man in the right place because of politics, and nasty politics indeed. And we believe, listening to the top voices from the two experts, it is up to the government to ensure regulations of the free economy. Free economy doesn't mean you have got the license to do everything. No, there are some regulations. Who is Professor of Dhaka University Economics? He says that Keynesian economics, it is one of the limestone from time to time. And also, Mr. Mamun Rashid emphasized and echoed the same voice. Therefore, let us see what happens the next. Thank you very much.